For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome to WFO Radio. I'm Joe Castello and we've got a huge show for you. Big breaking news. John Force's replacement driver has been revealed. We're going to get into all of it. We're going to do a DENSO Sonoma Nationals recap. Check out the highlights. It's going to be a great time. So buckle in, sit down, get ready. WFO is off and running. Great show, big news, and we ask you to share as we're going to get into it. So let's start at the beginning. Of course, I want to thank and welcome our WFO radio sponsors, and I will tell you about each and every one of these, including a brand new marketing partner for our WFO universe out there. We like to welcome the folks at Jesse Converters, DPFX Fit on board. For those of you running diesels over the road, we'll tell you all about them and everyone else. But let's get right to the big breaking news. I know that's what everybody wants to hear about and everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to talk about. We're going to be working on interviews in the future. But the driver of this Peak Chevrolet Camaro for the final 8 races of the 2024 Mission Foods Series will be this guy, Fast Jack Beckman. Jack has been out of the seat for 4 years, but Jack Beckman will be the driver of the Peak Chevrolet Camaro. They will be making their return at the Night Under Fire at Norwalk, and a release went out just moments ago from John Force Racing. You can also read the story on NHRA.com, but let's go right to the release. Reading verbatim from the release put out. Not everybody gets these, and hopefully you are up. There's been some social media. Fast Jack's website has already been updated, and everybody talking about it. But the quotes to me are what are the most significant. Headline: Fast Jack to drive Peak Chevy in relief of Force. Former champ will pursue NHRA championship on behalf of Hall of Famer. If you have been watching WFO Radio on a regular basis, you know that a substitute or fill-in driver can only earn points for 8 races. And so they had to make a decision, and they're going to run the final 8. Very smart decision. The U.S. Nationals, of course, the countdown, and Brainerd, Minnesota's Lucas Oil Nationals all coming up. Brownsburg, Indiana, July 30th, with an NHRA championship still very much in play. John Force Racing President Robert Hart announced Tuesday that 2012 Funny Car World Champion Jack Beckman will drive Force's Peak Antifreeze and Coolant Chevrolet Camaro SS for the remainder of the 2024 season in what the team is calling Joint Task Force Mission Championship. I love that they're going to sell a lot of t-shirts. I might be in line to buy one myself, given the historic nature of this championship run. My goodness. While Force continues to recover from a TBI, traumatic brain injury, suffered in the June 23rd crash in Richmond, Virginia, Fast Jack will slide into the seat occupied by the 157-time tour winner during the season's final 9 races. Beckman will make his debut in the Peak Camaro in this weekend's non-championship event, the 47th annual Cornwell Tools Night Under Fire at Summit Motorsports Park, where he and John Force Racing teammate Brittany Force in the Cornwell Tools dragster will both compete. When Force was injured, he was second in the point standings behind John Force Racing teammate Austin Prock, and by NHRA rules, when a driver is unable to compete, the race team may employ a substitute driver who can earn points for the original driver in a maximum of 8 tour events, discussed weeks ago here on WFO. This means when Beckman rolls to the starting line for qualifying at the 42nd Lucas Oil Nationals at Brainerd, Minnesota on August 16th, he'll be pursuing a 17th championship title for Force. He currently sixth in the driver standings with 2 races remaining before the points reset for the countdown. Here's a quote from Robert Hart. When you think about someone who can handle the driving, can deal with the media, can take care of the sponsors, and take care of the fans, there was only one obvious choice, and that was Jack Beckman, Hart said. Plus, he has history with Chris Cunningham, who was the co-crew chief on the Peak Chevrolet, with Danny Hood and Tim Fabrizi, and also, in my opinion, most importantly, the respect of John's family. A 33-time event winner in funny car, Beckman last raced competitively in 2020 when he returned to being a full-time elevator technician, a career that he left 22 years earlier to follow his drag racing dream. The 58-year-old Californian is keenly aware of this unique situation. It's been nearly 4 years since I stood on the throttle, and I thought that feeling was something that I'd never experience again, says Jack Beckman. And amazing to think about this opportunity for Fast Jack. Though the circumstances that brought me back are regrettable, the opportunity presented to me is beyond my ability to find words. I'm not replacing John. Nobody could ever do that. John is one of a kind. His impact on this sport and on my life cannot be overemphasized. I know how fortunate I am to have been picked to fill in for John, and I should be easy to spot in the pits. I'm the guy who can't stop smiling, says Fast Jack Beckman. Brian Bolander, the director of marketing for Old World Industries, added, "We're happy to have the Peak team back on track, and Jack is the right person for this job until John can return. It's great for the fans and our customers, as Jack is an automotive enthusiast and DIYers who was the right fit in our program on and off the track." Although he won the Funny Car Championship in 2012, Beckman's best season was 2015 when he advanced to 9 final rounds and won 7 races, coming up just 56 points shy of being a 2-time Funny Car champion. That was in 2015. A cancer survivor and a U.S. Air Force veteran, Beckman has taught more than 7,000 students the basics of drag racing at Frank Hawley's drag racing school. Among them were Force's daughters. And I think that this is as important as any of the facts. He trained up Ashley, Brittany, and Courtney. His wife, Lori, also earned her Super Comp license under Beckman's tutelage. That relationship can't be overstated in this situation. Again, that is my opinion. Before distinguishing himself in the funny car division, Beckman won the 2003 NHRA Super Comp World Championship. He is licensed in 12 different NHRA competition categories, including Top Fuel, the class in which he made his professional racing debut in 2005. The following year, he made his funny car debut late in the season, and just his 4th race in the category, he won the NHRA Nevada Nationals at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 2 weeks later, in the season-ending World Finals, he qualified first and set national records for time and speed, and finished runner-up to, guess who? John Force. Eventually, Beckman would become one of only a few drivers in the sport to enjoy a winning record against the Hall of Fame driver and car owner John Force, who won the most recent of his 16 championships in 2013 after starting the countdown position of 4th. Beckman won his funny car championship from the number 3 starting position. Team president Robert Hart made history in 2009 for himself and JFR when he won his first championship from the number 10 starting position. And that is the release, the hard news. John Force Racing and Peak select Fast Jack Beckman to be their driver. Let's go right to the comments, guys. Let's go right to the comments section. We encourage you to share the show, push it out there, let everybody know this is very important news for drag racing, especially when you look at the point standings where we are in the midst. We could call it a barn burner. We could call it whatever we want, but you got Austin Prock leading the points, Bob Tasca 2nd, Matt Hagan 3rd, J.R. Todd 4th, Ron Capps 5th, John Force / Jack Beckman 6th, Daniel Wilkerson, Paul Lee, Chad Green, and Blake Alexander rounding out the top 10. Alexis would be in the show too, 11th, as would be Cruz, because they have made an attempt at all the races. You add another extremely high quality car that had won 2 races, a car that had been running up and down the racetrack so well, and you add Fast Jack. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of elements, a lot of ins and outs and what have yous. We're going to cover them all. We'll see what people have to say. Jim Essex, Fast Jack is back. Mike says, I voted Fast Jack 2 weeks ago. Interesting. Let's see what else. I'm looking for great comments, guys. I'm looking for great comments. WFO Jack. I'm so excited about this announcement. She called it. Fast Jack is back. The fans seem very happy. I'm so happy to see Fast Jack coming back, even if it's only for a few races. Well, exactly. This has been one of those situations where you've got Fast Jack and also Tommy Johnson Jr. I want to mention Tommy. They ultimately went with Fast Jack, but Tommy was a great selection potentially as well that I believe could have handled all of those elements. But the relationship with the family, Jack, very close with John and his daughters, and John had entrusted Jack once before with something that is more important than a funny car or winning a world championship, which is the safety and the future safety of his daughters in drag racing. And when you make that decision, I think the second decision can be an easy one. So I'm pretty excited about it. Social media is all fired up. Jack was the best choice, says people. Fast Eddie, who is out there in Sonoma. And yes, we'll definitely talk Sonoma and we'll watch the final round. Fast Jack is back. Hey, Joe, great chatting in Sonoma. There was a guy, I should have taken a photo of him, but I didn't. But I swear this guy, his arms, he's feeling it today. He was holding up a sign all weekend long that said, "Bring back Fast Jack." And he got his wish, clearly. Yes, Fast Jack, another great ambassador for NHRA, just like John. That's a fact, Jack. People having a little bit of fun. The guy during the track walk, exactly. He probably got some TV time as well. So, Drag Racing Mayhem, my question is, if Jack wins the championship, what's the rule around that? Would Jack and Force get the championship or just Force? Well, I think John Force would be listed as the champion and Jack Beckman would be listed as the replacement driver who ran the final 8 races, and thus they would both be champions. Would there be some sort of an asterisk? Would there be a note? Yes, there'd be a note, a worthy note. This is different. It's unique. Would Jack Beckman not be listed as a champion? I think, this is what the note section is for. 2024 world champion as replacement driver for John Force, ran final 8 races. That's how you do it. But we'll see. Can't wait to see Fast Jack behind the wheel of John's car. Jack and Ida both racing at BRI will be awesome. Exactly. LaToya saying, what's up? Great choice. Clearly a great choice. Weird situation. Not sure how they handle it if Jack wins. No, it's not a weird situation, and it's not in question. All my wonderful listeners and viewers out there, there's nothing weird on this one. There's no conspiracy theory. There's nothing unclear. There's nothing opaque or obscure. The rule states that you can have a replacement driver. Kind of happened around COVID. You may recall when people were getting COVID left and right, nobody knew what to do. They put in this rule because, we couldn't have championship contenders just falling out of the race because they got COVID. So there's 8 races remaining, and you're allowed to get points as a fill-in driver for 8 races. John Force has a substitute driver. His name is Jack Beckman. He's going to earn points for John Force in the 2024 Mission Foods World Championship. And if that slot, Force Beckman, wins the championship, they're champions. What will it look like? And how will we write the name on the trophy and all of that? Like, guys, come on. This is so much bigger than that. Bubble says Jack is legit. John's nemesis is back to get him his 17th championship. This is going to be great. It's movie-like. It's very Hollywood. This is perhaps the movie that everyone has been waiting, the end of the movie about John Force's career. We all know that John Force is deserving of a Hollywood script, but how do you end it? How does it all work? There's so much interesting stories and side stories, and how do you feature and how do you focus the audience? The 16-time champ making a run at a championship is sidelined due to an accident, and he goes back and picks one of his old nemesis, someone who has been intricately involved in the training of his daughters to drive, to go out and win championships of their own, who you can't write it better than is an elevator technician. Since he left the sport, you can visualize the scenes of him getting the word that John needs him. And now Fast Jack Beckman is going to run the Pete Camaro for the points. And if you haven't already, like Bill Bader, oh my goodness, the Joint Task Force Mission Championship. And the first race you can see, Fast Jack, is at the Night Under Fire at Norwalk, Summit Motorsports Park. The line is forming now. We should have a camera on the line forming out there. You would think it would be a well-attended event. Excellent. Seattle and Sonoma were wonderful races. Go Jack, and may the force be with Fast Jack. I love it. I love it. I think it's great. And everybody is talking a little bit about that. This is definitely the hot topic today. Now, another hot topic, as I ask you to share the show, of course, Alan Reinhart, not back this week. I do expect Alan Reinhart to be back in the future, hopefully the near future. That's what I can share. And thank you so much. Honestly, it is heartwarming. All the questions and all the different people who have reached out to me. And I spoke with Alan yesterday. He'll be back in the future, hopefully the near future, to WFO Radio and hopefully beyond. Would love to have his take on this. So happy I picked Fast Jack years ago. But, at some point, you just got to wait to find out. And we'll do it. Man, this reminds me of Cole Trickle subbing for Rowdy at Daytona and Days of Thunder. Doesn't it, Tim? Doesn't it? It's heartwarming. I have always really liked Jack Beckman as a person, period. And he's had a couple of instances where he's been back at the track this year, including Pomona, and a couple of quick moments of just him being real about this bizarre circumstance of being a top driver and being a great driver and not being personally wealthy, not being, connected to a sponsor per se. And in spite of his talent and ability, in spite of his fan-friendly nature and ability with sponsors, in spite of all that, hasn't been able to get a ride because of the nature of the circumstance in the sport. And we're working hard, everybody that's connected to the sport, to make that reality a thing of the past. If you're a very talented, well-liked, championship caliber driver, you should have a ride in the competitive sport of drag racing. I think, talent, like who is the most talented driver available? And so rarely do we get this circumstance where right now, John Force Racing, they had to make some decisions and they said, talented driver, championship caliber, knows how to go fast. That's another thing. This is, and I know there were a lot of people throwing out a lot of names there, a lot of names that I support for the future, honestly. Like I'd love to see Jordan Vandergriff get a ride for the future. Speaking of talented and fan-friendly and sponsor-friendly and all of that, but his experience in a funny car is limited. You're in a champion. There's no margin for error here. No margin. You've got to get as high up in the points as you possibly can. 1.5 points in Indianapolis. You want to win this championship, and you got to beat Austin Prock in your own camp. If you're going to do it, if you're going to pull this off, no offense to Austin and Jimmy and Thomas, who I love, and all of a sudden, like their big rival is going to come from inside the house. Because Tim Fabrizi and Chris Cunningham and Danny Hood and Force and Jack and all those guys, my opinion is that they're not running for second. They want to finish in the top two. 1-2, the best thing to deliver to John Force would be a 1-2 finish in an unprecedented year of competitiveness in funny car. So you need someone that can just jump back in and do it. There's a question. Can Jack Beckman jump back in and do it? 4 years. It's been 4 years. We're going to find out. My opinion is the answer is yes. I think that Jack is going to go out there at the Night Under Fire. He's going to get reacclimated very rapidly. Is he going to be as good as he ever was in the first race back? That'd be a very impressive feat to do anything as well as you did when you were at your best after taking a little bit of a break. But sometimes that's how it goes. You get that, you shed all the extra and you focus on what's important because you're back in it again, and you can rattle off some really good performances. I'm eager to see. The jack signal was activated, right? What does that look like up there? And is it an elevator? Is it jack? Bridget, I'm getting my ticket now. If you're anywhere in Ohio, like, this needs to be a mob scene, man. It needs to be a mob scene. Jack is a great person and a great character. Absolutely. Hoping all is well with AR. AR's health is okay. Like, that's one that I want to share with everybody. His health is okay. He's healthy as of my conversation with him last night. You never forget how to drive. I agree with that. And I had my own experience earlier this year. It's a little different in a funny car, I'm sure. But not having driven anything in a long time, you're like, am I going to get it? And it does come back fast, Jack. So I think it's pretty interesting. Jack Beckman, career best ET, 2016, Pomona 2, 382.5. That's with the swept back headers. From what I understand, those were harder to drive. So speed-wise, 335.90 to 2019, Vegas 2. Fast Jack Beckman, 2020 in the points, 3rd, 2019, 2nd, 2018, 7th, 2017, 4th, 2016, 5th. So you've got a very competitive racer that is jumping in this car, and it is just going to, I think, really amp up the intensity. Joe, the clip they did introducing Jack is awesome. Yeah, he put on the uniform very, very fast. All right. So the big breaking news is behind us, right? There will be a delay on your elevator repair, however. We are sorry. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I need somebody to fix this elevator. Sorry, it's not going to be Jack. Jack eats and sleeps drag racing. He certainly does. He's got an encyclopedic mind on drag racing history. He absolutely does. No, he's great. Jack did such a good job at Roland Leong's Celebration of Life. There was a lot of good things. Jack is very good at that, but it's great to see Fast Jack get this opportunity. And in a season where you thought that the storylines couldn't possibly get better, they're getting better. Amazing stuff. Real quick, guys, let me tell you a little bit about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO, and then we'll go class by class. We'll get your thoughts. We'll get your take on everything that's going down. I do want to introduce the folks at Jesse, DPF X Fit. For diesels going over the road, their catalytic converter products are going to just help you put as best a package out into the atmosphere as is possible. There's a lot of people that care. They've got a performance brand as well. But welcome, Jesse. And they're going to come on the show and talk a little bit about the X-Fit line. But if you want to know more right now, you can scan that QR code that's on the screen. And we'll be doing a lot more with the folks at Jesse as the year goes on. You heard a little bit about Total Seal piston rings and FTI performance transmissions and torque converters. Two great sponsors, Total Seal. It's hard to find people who aren't using Total Seal piston rings. I'm real happy about the way we've been getting the word out on Total Seal. The Hidden Horsepower podcast, really great stuff. Got a new one getting ready to drop later on. And FTI, transmissions and torque converters, put it this way. They're my choice for Project Pontiac. You look around, you check out the winner's circle, and you see that FTI sticker all over the place. Also want to shout out CWT Industries. Balance machines. If it rotates, it can be balanced. Randy Neal has got the best balance machines in the world. Touch screen, intuitive, easy to use, easy to train on, saves time, and highly accurate. What else do you want? If you got an old balance machine in your machine shop and, it still works. It works just as good as it ever did. Now the machines work a lot better. It's as simple as that. Better, more accurate, more intuitive. Why should you do it? Because it's a moneymaker. It saves time, saves resources. CWTindustries.com. Also, our great friends at Bernie's Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com. Follow their social media so you can know what I know, which is they've got great cars. They do frame-off restorations. They do everything automotive. And if you need to sell a classic car, think Bernie's. Reach out to Josh Hart, and they can move it to the people who are looking for it. Foggit, Foggit, the spray for the inside of your racing engine. Gary Stinnett, Steve Williams. You put your engine away at the end of a long day of racing, you're going to get condensation and rust in there. Microscopic, but nonetheless, you spray it with Foggit. It stops all that, slows it all down. Later on in the show, we'll tell you a little bit about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. We'll tell you about the folks at RoadXCoffeeandGrills.com, our great friends out there. We really appreciate everyone in the Patreon Listener Club as well. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. Let's watch the final round of Funny Car. Starting out with a Funny Car Eliminator, since we're Funny Car heavy here. They ran 3:38 and change. Told me they were 2 miles an hour faster than the 3:41 and change that happened in Bradenton at the Pro Superstar Shootout earlier this year. 2 miles per hour faster 2 seconds into the run. But the extreme headwind on Friday night just knocked the speed down, slowed them down to 3:38. But in the end, Bob Tasca got the win. Ron Capps, a very, very well-deserved and needed final round as well. Let's watch.
156th final for Ron Capps. A 34th career final for Bob Tasca. They leave. And Capps smokes the tires. Bob Tasca will roll across the finish line for a victory. 4:08.8, 277 miles an hour. There was no big speed in the final. It was a couple of desperate Funny Car drivers clawing their way to a win line.
And Bob Tasca is holding his third Wally of the season. You said you had to pick your heart up out of your feet. How hard was that round win against Ron Capps?
Man, you gotta be on your A game to race Capps, and it got past half track, and it was on a big run, and I felt it knock the tires off. I stepped off it, rolled in, and I looked out the side window, and I was driving out the side window saying, I hope he don't come around me. But hats off to Aaron Brooks and Todd Okahara and the guys behind me. What a hot rod they gave me all weekend long. For Ford, Motorcraft, PPG, BG, all the people that support this, Nitrofish, Kenny Carecci's watching, and John Force, if you're watching, we miss you. Get your butt back out here. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Get your butt back out here. And Tasca, like, I really wish I had been keeping the stats, but when the boys are at the track, this guy has got an unbelievable record versus not. Now, I know it's hard to quantify. We would have to go back and figure it all out, but amazing. Tasca gets through Buddy Hull first round. By the way, I want to, reinforce those Tubi channels that NHRA has got going. If you haven't watched them, if you're a cord cutter, if you download the apps, you go to your Roku or your Apple television, you download Tubi is one of them, but there are multiple. A lot of great NHRA racing on there. Classic races, throwbacks, the stuff from the old archive that's been digitized. They're out there on these fast channels, and it's really great because you can just go down a rabbit hole of NHRA drag racing from the past and see Steve Evans and Big Mac and all of that stuff. But there's a new show called Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hull. That Buddy Hull is the host, and he's interviewing Ron Capps in the first episode. It's out there. It's now up. It's live. It's up and live this week. It's debuting, I think, tonight. So you might want to go check that out. We talked with Buddy on the show last week about it, but now it's a reality. And those Tubi channels, it's very similar to PowerTube TV, where you can watch WFO Radio. And again, if you're watching on PowerTube TV, I would love for you to email me, joe@wforadio.com, because I want to find out who our PowerTube TV audience is. But it's the same style of channel, one of these, streaming channels. And you can check out Buddy Hull. But Buddy Hull was the victim first round, and Tasca went 387.5 to do the deal. And so got the job done. 338.77. In the second round, Paul Lee fell by the wayside. Good run by Paul, but just ran into the wrong dude. 397 at 320 with a 391.2 at 335. So that's two runs back to back over 335. And in the semifinals, head to head against Austin Prock. And that is going to be a major matchup. They've had a couple of very close races. 393.1 beats a 390 with a 1, a hole shot by Bob Tasca. And Tasca put out the top bulb on him. He went in deep. This is one of those runs that we talk about where had he gone in deep, would it have worked out the same? We don't exactly know. I think probably not. I believe it was 4th out. 22 reaction time for Tasca, 53 for Austin. Austin in shallow, Tasca in deep. 300ths of a second. 393 beats a 390. 300ths of a second. And so a couple of thou making the difference. Do you do it? Do you not do it? And that's why some people are like, and in fact, there's a movement right now that people are politicking to kind of change the tree to eliminate that from the sport, from what I understand. Is that a rumor? Is it a speculation? It's like, from what I hear, there's a discussion out there in the pits. Is that good? Or should everybody just have to stay shallow? From what I understand, that's a discussion that's been going on for 1 or 2 decades. Bottom line, Tasca wins this one by a couple of thou. Goes to the final round against Ron Capps. Capps, in his road to the final, got through Cruz Pedregon, was the marquee matchup, told us he doesn't like being the marquee matchup. Capps, all the extra time you're getting for Napa. You're getting extra time for Napa. The fans, they want to see Capps up there, and Capps doesn't want to be the marquee matchup. Come on, Capps. He was very down. Capps was down. Capps should not play poker. Capps was like, like he knew he had a tough one. Well, the racing gods and Guido threw down the performance. 386.9, 335.57. The backup chassis, the car from 2022, that's not quite as good, qualified third. Took down the Cruiser. Cruiser, great run, 391, just not enough. Then Capps got through J.R. Todd in a close race, 390 with the 7 at 330. Semifinals, Capps gets through Hagen. So you beat Cruz. You beat J.R. You beat Hagen. That's a lot of championships worth to get to the final round where he and Tasca both smoked the tires. And I'm sure they're kicking themselves a little bit. Right? Anytime your opponent smokes the tires, you're going to be a little annoyed, I would think. But bottom line, point standings, Austin Prock continues to lead. Prock won the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Tasca, second. Hagen, third. J.R. Todd, Ron Capps, John Ford / Fast Jack Beckman, sixth. Daniel Wilkerson, what does this guy have to do? Daniel Wilkerson, my goodness. Putting up good runs, going down the track. Fastest run of his career. First round, see ya. Oh, did I do that right? There you go. Paul Lee, Chad Green, Blake Alexander, Alexis, and Cruz, the top 12. And as long as Blake can stay in the top 10, he'll make the countdown. Same with Paul Lee. They must make the top 10. And that story is kind of interesting this year, right? Like last year, we didn't have too many people. If you gotta be in the top 10 to make it. Whereas Alexis and Cruz on the outside looking in, they would make it regardless. So that is your Funny Car Eliminator. Let's see what everybody's got to say on Funny Car, and we'll do it. Do you know what happened between Austin and JR? You know what? I don't, but I do. So here's the deal. The word is at the top end of the racetrack in Seattle, there were some words exchanged, and that people saw, and I can share that. But I did not get JR's side of the story, and I haven't gotten Austin's side of the story. I got relayed a version of the story, and I heard that from 2 separate people who I trust, independent of one another. Some words exchanged. But I don't think it would be fair to relay a version of the story until I hear from both people, or at least 2 different versions of the story. So just how about this? Words were exchanged. And I think everyone would agree on that one. Do not mess with the tree and staging. Heads Funny Car massive explosion. Don't know. I think Blake only lost 1 body, but what I was told, it was a, I don't want to call it a garden variety explosion, but just kicked the rods out. Andrew wants to know, was this the last chance to go 340 this year? Absolutely not. It absolutely was not the last chance. There's going to be more chances. You'll have a chance in Brainerd if the weather is right. We've seen, remember, the sweatback header era, people were going very fast in Brainerd. If the weather is right, it's all about Mon Nature and what she serves us. And if she serves us something good, we'll have something good. All right, let's go to Top Fuel, where Antron Brown picked up his 77th career win.
The 2 cars leave. It is a great punch to the final, and it is going to be Antron Brown. 374.6, 329 miles an hour, a 377.4 at 321. They left within 7 thousandths. A classic final round with Antron Brown claiming career victory again.
And the 3rd Wally of the season for Antron Brown. You tied Doug Coletta. How competitive is this team right now?
We're very competitive. We can race with anybody, but the thing about it is we just stay humble and stay hungry. And, man, Lord gets all the credit. Got some of my ABM Accelerate drivers here with me. They drive some quarter midgets out here from Northern California. One thing is you just got to stay poised. My team is incredible. They have a bad hot rod and fell a little short in the tree, but they make it up down the racetrack. So I'm super pumped for Bryant, Mark, Brad, all of our Macco Lucas Oil boys. Great job. Toyota helped us on this racetrack. It was tricky all this weekend, but we went down track every lap. So that's an awesome, awesome team. I love you guys. God bless you. And come on, we got some more coming. Oh! Hold on.
Yeah. Antron Brown. Man, there's no better interview out there. Going to be very interesting to see how it all works out as this season continues to play out. AB gets to the final round. We'll do the run by run. But I did, I might have a guest on the show. It might happen after all. So we encourage you to share the show, guys. If you can, share the show, our NHRA results show. If you're just logging on, it has been announced that Fast Jack Beckman will be John Force's replacement driver beginning this weekend at the Night Under Fire in Norwalk Summit Motorsports Park, and then into Brainerd, Minnesota, the U.S. Nationals, and the 6-race NHRA Countdown. I have already put in requests for Fast Jack, Tim Fabrizi, Chris Cunningham, whoever they'll give us in the coming weeks to talk about it. It is a tremendous story, and I know a lot of people in other forms of drag racing media, like, this is a great story, and I hope it transcends drag racing media. This is one that I think everybody can get into beyond motorsports. Like, what happened? This guy who's a legend, he's our Elvis, he's our Reinhart. He had an incident. He's got a replacement driver. The driver's going to try to win the championship for him. Wow. What about the replacement driver? The guy was working on elevators. He's repairing elevators, elevator technician. And he was, in the shaft of an elevator. I don't know if they have grease on him or whatever. But when he gets the call that he's, wanted as the replacement driver, which I just made that up, right? Like, I don't know where he was. But big storyline. So we will see. Antron Brown, interesting day at the races when your number one qualifier gets bounced first round. Doug Coletta up in smoke against Ron August. Ron August, with the win of his life, goes to the semifinals to run Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart gets through Sean Langdon. Langdon runs 384, gets eliminated. So the 1 and 4 qualifiers are out. Coletta Motorsports having a tough day, but those are going to happen every once in a while, right? It's still drag racing, as dominant as they have been, and those crazy record speeds that Doug put up in qualifying, amazing. But Tony Stewart gets by Langdon. Other side of the ladder, you got Antron, the number 7 slot, had to go up against his teammate Sean Reed. Sean Reed, who looked really strong in qualifying, gets bounced, AB 372.8, to run Steve Torrence in the second round, the 4-time champ, the old nemesis, chocolate and cream. Remember that? That lasted like a minute. I think that's what it was. Antron takes down Steve, left first, 71 to a 79. They ran identical ETs. Yeah, but the racing isn't good in NHRA anymore. Oh, the racing isn't good. We don't like the racing. It was much better when the winning driver won by 1/10 of a second over the guy who lost, right? So much better than identical ETs to the 1,000th. Antron goes to the semi to run a resurgent Brittany Force. Way to go, Britt. Great weekend for Britt. Seeing Britt out there, it's a whole new meeting out there for that team. David Grubnick and John Collins, like, all right, car's running fast now. Ran in the 60s a couple of times. That's right where they need to be. But Antron got off the starting line first. 66 with a 373 at 3:33.99 to go to the final round against Smoke. Tony Stewart got there beating Ron August. What do you think about that run? You're Tony Stewart, you're Neil, you're Mike, you're all those guys, and you got Ron August in the other side of the racetrack, and you're thinking, uh-oh. But hey, let's bring on our guest. I got to bring on our guest. Point the camera towards yourself. Flip the screen. And when I see your smiling face, I'll bring it on as best as I can. There we go. All right. There's a smiling face. I think it is. Let's see who we got. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Frank Hawley. You're not driving. Are you driving?
Yeah, I'm driving down the road here in my RV and just enjoyed myself on a sunny afternoon, and I thought I'd check in with you and see how things are going.
All right. So I would love your take on Fast Jack Beckman, but I really don't want it to be while you're driving just because of all of that. So is it possible to pull over in the next rest stop and hit us back?
Well, I'm going to find out. I'm not sure how far I am away from any place I can stop conveniently, but if I don't get back, I'll tell you, if there's one person on the planet Earth that should be in that car, it's my buddy Jack Beckman, and he's obviously going to do a fabulous job. He's going to represent the team well. He's the type of guy that won't try and take over John's spot. He'll understand that he's there for a job, and that's to fill in for all of John's sponsors and to not make the event about him and more about the team and John's legacy. So I think there's a number of reasons why Jack would be considered the perfect candidate.
Well, Frank, I appreciate you weighing in on that. Obviously, like for you to take this time just to give us that, I appreciate it, and that is good enough for us. If you happen upon a rest area soon, I'll be on for another 20 minutes or so. If it doesn't work out, thank you for your time.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Joe.
There he goes, Frank Hawley from Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. The guy's on vacation. I pop him the link. He comes on and gives us a little bit of insight into his former instructor at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Like, think of all the layers of confidence that have been put upon Fast Jack Beckman, which is to train at Frank Hawley's school, of course, and to teach John's daughters. And I think it's tremendous. And thank you, Frank, from Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Come on for a moment or two. He was a passenger, right? Like that kind of, because the thing, it flips, doesn't it? No? Yes? Back to where we were, the final round. Antron Brown over Tony Stewart. I just want to give a little bit of cred to Smoke, because that run against Ron August is not easy. That's, no offense to Ron August, with the greatest of respect to that team, but it's an open layup. And sometimes those are the toughest. And they got down there 397 and they took the stripe. Smoke was able to pedal it. It was a tough win to set up a great run against Antron. Goes 377 at 321. Word on the street, they're figuring it out over there. They're figuring it out. So we'll see. All you got to do is look on the starting line and see, who's there and around. And I think Neil told us the funny car guys are going to help him out a little bit. So it's not like top secret, but what does that look like? I don't know. But the funny car guys are going to help him out a little bit. And it makes perfect sense. You're in a spot. You don't want to stay there. And so Tony Stewart gets to the final round. As far as standings go, Doug Coletta continues to lead the way. 125 over Sean Langdon. Steve Torrence is third. Terrible year, Steve, right? Third in the points. Justin Ashley, fourth. Antron Brown, fifth. Tony Schumacher, sixth. 342 out of the lead, but sixth. Remember, there will be a points reset following the U.S. Nationals. Clay Milliken, seventh. Billy Torrance, eighth. Good run for Billy, or a couple of really strong passes for Billy. Tony Stewart, ninth. Brittany Force into the top 10. So here's the deal. Brittany Force and Josh Hart are battling for that 10, 11, 12 spot. Brittany has not run all the races. Josh Hart and Sean Reed have run all the races. And so Brittany's got to earn her way in by finishing in the top 10. I want to see Brittany in the championship. Me personally, like if I was, in charge of all of it, I would have announced an exemption for her immediately, but I know the way I would rule stuff is probably not the best way. And so, people would have complained about that, but I think it's a circumstance nonetheless, right? Like deciding to stay by your dad's bedside while he's nursing an injury. I might have granted an exception, but I understand. Josh Hart, 11th, Sean Reed, 12th, Jasmine Salinas, 13th, 500 points back. And Jasmine is trying to get up into that top 10. She has to get into the top 10 because she missed a race too. And, should she get an exemption? That's why my way doesn't work all the time. And I admit it. My way doesn't work because Jasmine missed a race. Remember, Mike ran the Gator Nationals. And so Jasmine missed a race. She hasn't made an attempt at every race. And so it's a different situation. Let's see what everybody has to say about Top Fuel. Steve says Maple Grove is going to see the 340. Yeah, perfect example. How about Ron August? Happy for him making the semis. Me too. That's a beautiful car. He qualified for the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge in Brainerd. I know it's a long ride from Pleasanton, California to Brainerd, Minnesota. just to be in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge, but you got a top fuel car. You know what? Go to Brainerd. Go. Congrats to AB. Smoke's best day at the track. Yeah. Always issues with the tree since its inception. Yeah. Well, right. We could go back to the arm drop. Wouldn't that be fun? I wouldn't want to be that person, though. So happy for Antron. He's humble. He was so great in the media center. He really was. More congrats to Fast Jack. AB's got the grape juice going. Nah, it wasn't. But he was nursing, though. I will tell you, doing the media center stuff, he was nursing his way through it. Yeah, so many brackets. The Drag Race Bracket Bonanza Bracket Buster of the Week was Doug Coletta losing to Ron August. That destroyed everyone. Why is Tony Stewart's car so inconsistent? You know, I don't know. Initially, at the start of the season, the weight difference between Smoke and Leah was a part of it, but we are well into the season. They're switching some hard parts around. They're making some changes. This is how it works. You have the tune-up, you lose the tune-up, you find a new tune-up, and that's what they're working on. But I think, he went to the final round. I was there when he swept the swing and got the broom back in 2008 or 2009. Well, that makes perfect sense. Let's go to our next final round and watch what happened in Pro Stock. Thanks to the folks at NHRA on Fox. He was going to join us, but he had a meeting today at the exact moment I asked for him. Aaron Stanfield, final round. Brian Lone's on the call.
In they go. And they are blasting their way down the racetrack. It is Stanfield with a nose out at the 8th mile. Across the stripe, it is Stanfield. 54 beats a 55. Stanfield was 0.38 on the tree. His third win on the season. It is a career year for Stanfield, and we can't talk about championships anymore without including his name.
Win number 3 for Aaron Stanfield. I heard your wife at the starting line earlier today say you were driving your tail off this season. Who is the driver that Aaron Stanfield is this year?
Man, I just want to dedicate this win to our friend Tim the Iceman Kelly. He lost his battle with cancer, and this win's for him. And man, I just got to thank all my boys, all the guys at Elite Motorsports, Melling, and we got the whole JHG crew here this year. I mean this weekend, and man, I'm sure the winter circle is going to be fun today. Thank you.
Definitely was. And Aaron Stanfield gets the win. But I want to talk a little bit about Corey Reed. Aaron Stanfield, breakout season, 3rd win of the year. Aaron, Double A-Ron gets through. Mason McGahey gets through Erica, 16 against E. Goes up against Greg Anderson, the two best cars on the year so far, the last, a couple of world championships. Watch out for Aaron Stanfield. This guy is the real, and he is bringing it right now, and he's feeling confident. He's 16 against E, and he's 25 against GA, and he goes to the final round against Corey Reed. And let's just pick it up right there. Corey Reed raced Pro Stock motorcycles, comes from a drag racing family, is an interesting character. Exactly what we need in Pro Stock. Goes out there, gets a by-run first round because Derek Kramer's car shut off. And fortunately, Michael Heiner gave me a little insight. For those that are wondering, the power wire was slightly loose on the Get Biofuel Camaro. And it just had a voltage drop right at the hit. You can imagine the wire kind of having a bad connection, and it shut the car off immediately. And he's like, that's 1,000,001 different ways to lose. Have never had that happen, but it happened. So Corey Reed, who was really good, by the way, 057, 653.9, goes to the second round where he runs against Eric Latino. Eric Latino from Jesse. And it's kind of cool because those are the two families that bought into KB Racing. For those that don't fully understand, KB Racing with Ken Black was kind of stepping aside a little bit, and they needed, new partners. And so Jim and Annie Whiteley and Eric Latino together both went in to as Titan Racing Engines to merge with KB Racing. And so you got Corey driving a car and you got Eric Latino driving a car. So that was kind of the first real intramural battle of the new ownership principles. I know it's in the weeds, but for me, I think that's awesome because they get to race each other. Like before, Corey was running Pro Stock Motorcycle and Eric was running Pro Mod, and now they're running Pro Stock together, and it's awesome. And Corey gets the win. He's 40 on the tree, goes 58, whole shot victory against Eric. Eric was 87, still getting up to speed in Pro Stock. It's very hard, guys. This is very hard. Corey goes on to run Jerry Tucker. Jerry was very annoyed. He was having his best day as a pro, in my opinion. Goes red. 093 red. I didn't know it was that red, but deep red. And Corey is 66 with a 664. Had a little problems on that run. To set up the final round battle against Double A Ron, Aaron is 38 with a 54-0. Wins going away. Corey was 58, 655 with a 7. Get this. You ready? The Play NHRA odds go out, and our friend for many years, Bob Smith from Caesars, who has been doing NHRA odds for many years already, putting out the odds. And when he put out the odds this week, Corey Reed was plus 10,000. Plus 10,000. So that's pretty insane. Yeah. Well, you bet $100, that's $100,000. Plus 10,000. He goes to the final round. But the odds makers are end up being right because Aaron Stanfield won the race. I'm sure there was some, heartburn going on in some of the other areas. And big job by the folks at NHRA on Fox. Appreciate those guys. One other little note I want to show you guys about the race. I got to find this video, but you're going to like it. Joe Lee Stanfield was out there, and Joe Lee has got a fun little rivalry with Michael Heiner, who does the Hear It From Heiner show for our Patreons. For those that don't know, that is a fun little show. We're going to do one later on this week. And so I caught up with Joe Lee in the winner's circle, and she had this for Michael Heiner. Yeah, there we go. Got it. Actually, I'm doing a video. What do you think about that, Joe Lee? What do you think about that?
Send that to Heiner.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Burn. Michael, I'm sorry. Just the kind of stuff you see on Hear It From Heiner. It's not all like nuts and bolts, right? Poor Michael being attacked by Joe Lee. But Joe Lee did a great job. It was a fun day at the races, certainly. And Joe Lee even got a little mic time, right? Looking like a Cali girl out there. But congratulations to Aaron Stanfield and that team on their win in Pro Stock. And that brings us to Pro Stock Motorcycle. They had the Getrix Pro Bike Battle. Matt Smith was on a tear. Matt Smith really, frankly, dominated this event. Matt Smith was in rare form, things running, 204 miles an hour across the entire platform of Matt Smith Racing Motorcycles. And Matt Smith, in the media center, it was really kind of interesting to hear how he positioned it. But Matt Smith goes out there. What we'll do is we'll do the ladder first. Matt Smith in the first round goes up against, who was it that Matt ran first round? E.G. Kawakami. So that's an easy one. And then got the bye run. Sorry, E.G. Just the way it is at this moment. And then the second round, Matt was able to advance. And the ladder is all screwy. But to the final round, he ran John Hall, his team bike, and was able to take the win with a 670 and an 044 in the final round. It was a shot fired, frankly. A shot fired from Matt Smith Racing. We are not done yet. We are not done yet. Let's watch the NHRA on Fox call.
The two DENSO bikes are of the same team. Matt's bike, the bigger performer, the two of them, and they leave. Hall is off the starting line first, but it does appear Smith is going to freight train him across the stripe. 670 at 203. Matt Smith, his first victory since Reading, Pennsylvania of 2023.
And Matt Smith just took a drink out of that goblet. Matt, man, you come in here, you win the All-Star call-out. You were the #1 qualifier. You are now the event winner with 2 Matt Smith Racing bikes in this final. What message will this send to your competitors?
I don't know. They all talk crap about me when I couldn't 60 foot, and it didn't look like they could 60 foot this weekend. So maybe they better go to work and get their 60 foot back so they can run with us, because we went to work and found our 60 foots. And this DENSO, Outlaw Bear, Mark Stockseth, Smith Trucking, IGTG, Max ECU, Greg Butcher Trucking, Scrappers Racing, everybody's in the house, Elite Performance. Thank y'all, appreciate it. All the DENSO executives up there, what a race to win.
Matt Smith, what a race to win. He was very animated, very talkative, and I think that the flame that was maybe dying down in Pro Stock Motorcycle is going to come right back up now after some of the comments that I think Matt put out there in the media center. We'll see how those are taken. I don't want to paraphrase them. I want you guys to see the video because it's, and I did not pull the video. I did not have it for you because I think it was interesting. You know, the battle back and forth with the discussion about Gage and, Revzilla, Vance and Hines, what's going on there. The equity of the motorcycles. We had Hector Arana Jr. on last week, and he says that the parity isn't there, the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 and all of these different combinations that the tech department needs to do better, et cetera, and so on. And then, Matt goes out there and lowers the boom on everybody with all the bikes running 203, 204 miles per hour, performance advantage on everybody. Gage just got, blown away by John Hall. And, what can you say? It's a long season. And just because someone dominates at the start doesn't mean they're going to dominate at the finish. What's it going to be like in the NHRA countdown? Is Matt Smith going to have something for Gage? John Hall, by the way, what a great ride by John Hall. This guy has been overlooked. He won the U.S. Nationals a couple of years ago, and he's got a place here in Hollywood, Florida. And so we always chat and, just about different stuff. And John Hall, I don't want to say he's been disrespected, but he's been forgotten. The guy won Indy. He won the U.S. Nationals. And even if it is your best day on the racetrack, you won Indy. That's your first name for the rest of your life. U.S. Nationals winner, John Hall. And bounced around a little bit, and then got back with Matt Smith Racing, and his riding has been great. And way to go, John Hall. I'm pretty excited about what's going on with John. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out as the season goes out. But standings in the Pro Stock Motorcycle category. Don't you love the pop-up ad on NHRA? Gage continues to lead by 226 over Matt Smith, by 351 over John Hall. John Hall, third in the points, ahead of Richard Gadsden, 369 back and forth, ahead of Chase Van Zandt, fifth, Angie Smith, sixth, Gianna Evaristo, seventh, Hector Jr., eighth, Steve Johnson, ninth, 500 races, Steve Johnson. So glad we highlighted that. And 10th, Chris Bostic. And then everybody else is not going to qualify. Your top 10 is pretty much going to be locked in Pro Stock Motorcycle. You got 10 bikes traveling. Chris Bostic, way to go, Bostic. He's got a quick and fast bike again as well. And so we will see. I just got a photograph from Matt Smith seconds ago, and I'm going to see if I can bring it up so you guys can see. This was a tough one, coming back from the West Coast, and everybody is traveling, and Matt Smith is on the side of the road, people. He is stuck on the side of the road. So you got Frank Hawley is on the road. You got Matt on the side of the road. And let me see if I can find out where this photo is. Yeah, it's not worth it now. It's not worth it, but you're going to get it. Takes me a second or two to download. And so, get it up on the air. It's always a problem, right? On the air. In the meantime, let's see what some of the comments are. How about Josh getting the win in comp? Play that final. Don't have that final available to me. Mission Foods series alone. Can't wait for Brainerd. Antdog loves the New Jersey guy. AB. Do you have any insight into bought Heartland Park? No, I saw that story though. And Heartland Motorsports Park has been sold to someone that is a mysterious person, as they say in the story. I don't know. And maybe that has been updated, but I haven't seen it. Here's the Matt Smith photo. Reach out to Matt. He's like, if we can get back on the road, that is happening now. Matt Smith on the side of the road. That must not be fun. One of those big dogs driving down the highway. Let's talk about the other winners since Race Guitar brought it up. Josh Lee wins comp. First win with a Honda. Gotta love comp. You don't have to love Honda. But the fact that Honda is racing against Chevy and racing against all these, doesn't matter what it is. There's a place for it in comp. Pretty amazing. Jim Grossi, Super Stock, the orange Corvette, the largest crowd response of the weekend, perhaps, when the Vet won. People love the Vet. If you're a racer and you think that the fans are not into your car, You're so wrong. Jim Grossi proved it with a 4-pack against Justin Lamb. Paul Calvert, stock eliminator. I don't know the answer to this stat, but I'm just going to kind of put it out there. The slowest car to win a national event in a long time, 1390. What is the slowest car to win a national event? This would be a lean on Reinhart kind of moment. Don't know. But 1390 to win a national? I know a couple of years back, Drew Skillman beat a 16-second car in the final round at the Mile High Nationals. But to win a national, I don't know the answer. I think it's an interesting question, though. Congratulations to Paul Calvert, his first win. Allison McCone, Super Comp, had a chance to double with her dad. Her dad came up a little bit short in Super Gas. Ryan Giancone, we had a 2-minute staging duel in Super Gas in the semifinals. And then he goes to the final round and he wins it. The crowd went wild. The crowd went wild. And that's it. It just goes to show you, if there's fans in the stands and you tell the story of what's going on and there's something interesting happening, they'll get into it. I guarantee that there are fans that are going to like Ryan Giancone the next 5 years that they go to the race because of this moment. He did something that got their attention. Now, I don't want everybody doing it in the Super Gas. You get us in trouble. But one per race, semifinals or beyond, I'm up for it. You got to have fans in the grandstands for it to be worthwhile, in my opinion. David Cook, Right Trailer's top sportsman. Tom Bayer wins again. This guy's a winning machine. And Right Trailer's top dragster. I think I've spent more time with Tom Bayer on the stage than anybody else. Sean Langdon, Austin Prock win the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenges. And just amazing. And the Getrix Pro Bike Battle was won by Matt Smith. All right, let's get some final comments in the comment section. For those that missed it, if you're just signing on, breaking news, Fast Jack Beckman announced as the driver of the Peak Camaro. Fast Jack, a multi-time world champion, 2003, Super Comp, 2012. Funny car, has been a perennial top 5 player, one of the best drivers with the media, one of the best drivers with the fans, one of the best drivers, period, is now going to jump on board with Chris Cunningham, Danny Hood, Tim Fabrizi, and drive that Peak Camaro with the folks at Old World Industries. Total blessing. We just heard from Frank Hawley for a couple of minutes, who Jack worked to explain why there is, quote unquote, no better racer than to get that position. All right, final comments, guys. Put your final comments in the comments section, and then we'll get out of here. Before we do, I just want to remind you, you can watch the show on PowerTube TV. WFO Radio is on PowerTube TV. If you download the app, you can follow along and watch the show. We have the Thursday WFO block, prime time, Thursday nights, WFO. WFO swag on sale. Get yourself a hat, get yourself a shirt, all kinds of good stuff. Uploading new logos and new gear all the time. Standing on the stage at the pre-race ceremony, doing our thing. I look down into the crowd, which is always a great moment, and I'm humbled to be able to do it. And I see a couple of WFO shirts like in different locations now. And it's like, wow, that's amazing, an amazing feeling to see like our little podcast that started over 10 years ago, that we've got fans, they're buying the shirts, they're buying the gear, they're wearing it on Sunday, they're at the pre-race show, part of like our little, I talk about it, the WFO universe all the time. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It always heartens me. I get to feel like the drivers feel a little bit, right? Like when you see someone wearing your shirt, you know what you're doing is having a slight impact. Amazing. And so thanks to the fans who wore their gear on Sunday, that wore their WFO gear. It's really amazing. I want to tell you about Marvin Rodak, Rodak's Coffee. If you like coffee, if you're a coffee person and you always are chasing the newest, greatest, latest, greatest coffee, Marvin Rodak is kind of a different spin on the deal. This is not a macro coffee. It's a micro coffee. He deals with coffee plantations all around the world and gets the best coffee from around the world. Some of these coffee farms that only make like 1 or 2 sacks a year of coffee, like small blend. And Marvin gets it. He's either first or second call on the coffee. And so he's got amazing coffee literally from around the world. That's why you got to call 817-924-6821 and ask about the coffee. And he takes some of this great stuff and he blends it into these drag racing themed blends like the WFO Radio blend, which is awesome, and Bang the Blower and all these great blends. Call him 817-924-6821. Tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio. And the man we just heard from, Frank Hawley. Thank you, Frank, for giving us a call and just giving us your opinion. Like a long, in-depth discussion about how great Fast Jack is, would be fine. But we just need to know where your head's at, and we know. And if you want to know where his head's at, you can join the Dragster Adventure program. They travel all around the country, driving the Dragster Adventure program, and it's the easiest way and the most affordable way for a regular person with no training and no safety equipment and nothing to drive a dragster and have the experience of a lifetime. You get trained up. They've got special dragsters that are perfect for you to drive. You can bring your friends. You can set up a race. The Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. It makes a great gift because they travel around the country and you just get the gift certificate and then give it to your friend and they'll work it out. We're going to be in Vegas at this time of year, and then your friend works it out. frankhawley.com. Appreciate that. All right. Our folks at Foggett and Bernie's and everybody that supports WFO Radio, especially and including the folks at Jesse, DPF X Fit. Scan that QR code if you want to learn a little bit more, but we're going to have them on the show and go in depth. A lot of people don't understand what Jesse is, but it's in many ways diesel and performance catalytic converters. And in so many ways have helped to save the high performance industry. But that is a different story for a different day. Let's see what everybody's got to say. All right. Going through those final comments. Don't talk to me about the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. I kicked out all the rods. Jerry, you and everybody. Like, come on. When the number 1 qualifier in Top Fuel gets bounced, the number 4 qualifier gets bounced, it's kind of be a bracket buster day. And that's exactly what happened. But somebody's got to win. Elon told me that the randomizer button won last week. So it can be won using the randomizer button. How about that Corey Reed second race makes it to the final round? Everyone was marveling about Corey Reed. And I spoke with Joey Gladstone a couple of times on the starting line. And those two guys, they are awesome. And they're awesome for a few different reasons, like genuinely themselves and, not changing for anybody, but really hard-nosed, work hard, tough competitors. And they gave it a go in Pro Stock Motorcycle, and it just didn't work out. You're going up against the Vance and Hines powerhouse. And I have a feeling that they might eventually be back in Pro Stock Motorcycle in some way. But when you're surrounded by Pro Stock and you're Corey Reed, why not drive Pro Stock? And he drove Pro Stock and he ran so well. And he's going to run even better. Like, this is not the last final round we've seen for Corey Reed. Plus 10,000 on the book. Think about that. Plus 10,000. $100 on Corey Reed was like a $37,000 paycheck. Depending on where you were, yeah. Play NHRA is the best thing that has ever happened to National Hot Rod Association. It's just not out there just yet. And this is where a large, marketing budget comes into play. It would be great if some of these books started advertising on cars, if they're even allowed, to encourage people to play. You don't have to bet $100 like this guy, $100. That's a large wager for a lot of people. $100. It takes a long time to earn $100, regardless of where you are, right? $100, still respected in the, American economy. $100. I'm not placing a $100 bet. I'm not. $100 bet. $10 bet, I will place. $5 bet, I will place. Not on drag racing because I'm not allowed, but on something else. Now, I did drop, I think, $50 on the Kentucky Derby, and I won it. But that's a little different. Once a year kind of wager. But when you see that QR code, scan the QR code and investigate. I am not scanning the QR code because I don't want to even go there. Something about Corey and Joey team and Pro Stock is bringing a lot of good times to what's otherwise been a high-tension Pro Stock season. Yeah, for now. But they are a KB Titan, and they could easily factor into the championship. And, it depends on how you want to look at it, right? Like, do you want to assign a letter to each car in each team? Like A, B, C, D, like if it was Formula 1, 2, 3, 4, would you ever do such a thing? I don't think you should, because it's not right to put, drivers in groups like that. But I think at Elite Motorsports, you got Erica has got to be like 1A, She's won 6 world championships, not having a typical Erica season at this exact second. Only a couple of wins, right? Only won the Gator Nationals, up against that milestone. The 50th kind of got her bogged down a little bit. You think that's going to continue through the countdown? I don't. And Aaron Stanfield. But then you got Jerry Don, and when you follow the team down, the most experienced to the least experienced. If it was a karate dojo, you got your lead fighters, and then you got your people down. For those of you that are getting ready for Cobra Kai season 6, or have already seen it, perhaps. KB Titan, you've got Greg and you've got Dallas, and then you've got Hartford and Derek, but they're KB Titan powered, but they're not house team. It's a different way of going about it. They get the power and they get some resources, but they don't get all the resources. They don't get Rob Downing and Dave Connolly out there like tuning their chassis. They got to do a lot of that themselves. So for Corey to be an in-house team and Eric to be in-house, I think Corey Reed is going to figure out pro stock much faster than most people think because of his experience in pro stock motorcycle. The feel of a clutch pro stock motorcycle, which I've never ridden, but the riders have told me, like, if you want to make sure you don't red light, you grip it tighter, right? You want to be a little slow on reaction time, you grip it tighter. That feel of a clutch is a very different experience. And now he's just got to do it with his left foot. So I'm going to be watching Corey Reed. Let's see. Where were the Quadras? Surprised they would miss races with Christian being in the top 10. Business calls, frankly. It's as simple as that. Their business is calling. And I did not give the pro stock points. I might as well do that. Dallas, the leader, 115 over Greg, 152 over Erica, 175 over Aaron. Jeg is 5th. Troy is 6th. Jerry Don is 7th. Derek Kramer 8th. Christian Quadra 9th. Eric Latino 10th. On the outside looking in, Hartford, McGahey, and McGahey. But all 3 of those have made an attempt at every race. So they will get the participation trophy if they're not in the top 10. Christian Quadra is still in the top 10. And yeah, he could fall out of the top 10. And that's going to be an interesting story to follow as the season continues on. Could Christian fall out? He could. So we'll see. How about Double O Dallas going trip 0 in the first round? Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. That's too close. Nobody's trying for a trip zip. Nobody's trying for trip zip. Too close. Ron Merkel enjoyed the NHRA on Fox. Wish they would do it more. Well, NHRA on Fox is NHRA on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2 and all of that. For people who only get the over-the-air networks, I get it. But I really think that spending the $150 or whatever it is to get NHRA TV is the greatest expense you're going to have for entertainment if you like drag racing. You see Stock Eliminator, see Super Stock, Super Gas, Comp. You see everything that happens in an event for all 3 days. If you do it by the hour, it's very, very little. And then you know what you're doing every single weekend that there's drag racing. You're watching the drag racing. The big broadcast network, tremendous. I hope we get as many races on that network as is possible, because there are a lot of people that don't have cable or cutting the cord, still using antenna, and they see it when it's on Fox, right? Crying foul for talking smack, turn the tables. How are the new seats for the announcers at Sonoma? Mega. Great. Amazing. Pros and cons, of course. Like, I like being in race control. I like being able to eavesdrop on all kinds of stuff and listen to Mike Rice and kind of get ahead and finding out what they're doing. This was a little sterile. It was like being in a server farm. It was like cold and surrounded by glass. But then when you look out the glass, you see an amazing, beautiful scene. You're in the highest point in the Sonoma Valley. You are looking at top fuel dragsters while they're going 280 miles an hour, bowed up, going down the racetrack. Super Comp, you can watch the drivers like accelerating and decelerating down the racetrack. Probably the greatest announcer view that I've ever seen. And I think I would advocate for being back there next year if the people at Sonoma and the NHRA are up for that. The starting line isn't the best place to watch races. It's just not. If we were building a drag strip from scratch and we're putting the announcer booth wherever was the best place that it could possibly be, I think halfway to 3/4 of the way down the racetrack is that spot. That's my opinion. I don't know what Alan or Jason or anybody else, Brian Loans, thinks, but being in the cloud of the burnout smoke, seeing the cars from behind is great, and also limiting in many ways, especially since a lot of the action is happening way down the racetrack, especially if you're calling stock eliminator or any other breakout category. So to be in this wonderful compromised position right around the 8th mile mark, high above the track, able to see everything with Jason Galvin on the starting line, or I was on the starting line for him on Sunday and Friday, reporting on the radio, the little detail thing, whose brother is on the starting line that you can't quite see him. That's fine. That's what the starting line reporter is for. I think it was tremendous. Hopefully you guys felt that as well. Being alone up there, like the only person around, like there's nobody around, right? I could have taken my shirt off. I didn't, but I could have, and nobody would have cared. Nobody was seeing me. That was kind of interesting and a little surreal as well, being isolated, but whatever. We'll see. NHRA needs to give Vance and Hines their fuel back. Well, that Steve Johnson wants it too. Great Ignition show. Ignition was tough last night, guys. Hopefully you listened to it. Audio only, back from the red eye. Grossi win was huge. It was huge. And it is a car show. What about the super gas burn down? It lasted 2 minutes. Staging duel. I got it, staging duel. No one's going to get burned down. No one's getting burned down like ever. But I guess staging duel is the word that we're going with now. That was an awesome Best Appearing Car Award. Great Eric Reyes design. Really unique. Thank you for saying that. Nose for Nitro. Thank you. Thank you. It's a major stress, man. We're on WFO. I can tell you the real deal. Being the guy who picks the best appearing car is a responsibility. You want to pick something great every week. If you don't, you're going to get mocked. Somebody's going to tell you something. That wasn't a good pick. Everybody's got an opinion. At this particular race, every beautiful car like Jim Grossi's Corvette has already won Best Appearing. And if you've already won Best Appearing, we really don't want to double up, because honestly, if we're going to double up, Jim Grossi's car should win Best Appearing at every race. And if not him, Mike Cotton, right? And if not him. So you got to mix it up. And the dragster was great. Matt Woodard, wild scheme, totally different, unique, polarizing. We went with it. I got by with a little help from a couple people. I get the birds in the ears telling me like this one. What do you think of this? I've got a system, and it worked out. So thank you for reinforcing that. Great show. Paul Calvert, my hero. What kind of money do they win for the Too Fast, Too Tasty? Like there's $15,000 up for grabs in the championship points. I believe that is still the number. I will double check and get a certainty. Looking forward to the Night Under Fire. Bill Bader and family put on a great show. That's one race that I would love to see. Everybody is like, you got to go see it before you kick the bucket, Joe. Before your time is over and you pass. You got to go see Night Under Fire. And I would love to. But to get on a plane this week when I could be at home working on Project Pontiac, I get it. It's just, it's not working out this year. Yeah, I answered that at the start of the show. He's going to be back on WFO in the future. Great show, Joe. Great show today. Everybody loving that. Let's see. Where can I get a Life's a Drag shirt? Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. You'd think that those guys would have figured that out by now, Rates Guitar. Right? I know where you can get a sticker. Right here. Look at that. Will they do a show? That's the question everybody is talking about. Play NHRA will probably never be in Texas. That's not true. The red and the blue has nothing to do with this. It has to do with green. Green is a color that I think everybody can do it. Everybody loves green. Great call on the singer who dropped a cylinder. Oh, poor Sammy. I don't know. I was just being fun in that moment. And, right in the end, like the whole went out. But it was good. Sammy Eubanks, one of my favorite people out at the track. He sings God Bless America right before the finals. Kind of a new thing. Did you get your Cuban coffee in Sonoma? Yes, I did. I got it multiple times, much to the chagrin of the top end crew. There's now a full-on coffee war happening in the NHRA. The top end people versus me. I need some more people on my side. But on the starting line, I try to ask people if they want a little Cuban coffee with me, and they say no. They don't get it. They don't get the cafecito experience. Fast Jack. For those that are just logging on, Fast Jack Beckman has been announced as John Force's replacement driver and will earn championship points for the Pete Camaro through the NHRA Countdown, genuinely running for the championship. You can go back at the start of the show when we post it on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and get the full deal, including Frank Hawley's opinion. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Frank Hawley, legend, one of the greatest drivers in the history of drag racing, gives his opinion. Thank you, Frank, for calling in. Great views at the facility. Fast Eddie. He was the guy wearing the WFO shirt. Great show, Joe. Enjoy the podcast. You've already got a sticker. Not my problem. Race guitar. Not my problem. Great show. Yeah, too much great show, guys. Let's get into the drag racing deal. And that'll do it for this episode of WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. A little different today. Got through it. It was great seeing Mike Salinas back at the track. This is exactly what I want. Little reminders of the little things that happen. You know, for me, it's a blur. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Flew back on the red eye. Upgraded, by the way. It was tremendous. But what an event it was. And one of the things that made it a great event is seeing Mike Salinas. Mike Salinas and I aren't like best friends or anything, but I really admire the guy. And I love his family, and they've got such a great thing. And seeing him back, it was like so real. And he looked good. He looked better. Looked better than he ever has looked. Sorry, Mike. You did. He looked great wearing that black shirt. Slick. But don't rush back, guys. Anybody that, don't rush back. Health first. Got to take care of your health. Jasmine did such a great job, and that Pleasanton Ready Mix car was incredible. Great looking machine. Was actually considered for best appearing. But this is the top story right here. John Force, Fast Jack Beckman, will drive. The reveal happened today. And if you're not in line for tickets, listen, I get nothing from selling tickets to Night Under Fire or any ticket to anything ever. But if I was in that area, if I was within 200 miles, it's a great show, period, to go see Nitro cars at Norwalk, help one of the great racetracks of the NHRA, and see the first runs of Fast Jack Beckman in the Pete Camaro. I would definitely do it. No brainer. Those are your weekend plans. So call those baiters and get your tickets and be there. Everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Watch the schedule for the next WFO. When is it going to happen? I don't know. It depends when the winners are ready to be interviewed. It was a long 2 weeks. WFO.